The galaxy was silent, but the silence was not peace. It was the silence of hunters watching prey. On the edge of the Orion Arm, a meeting of alien races was held. Great leaders from different empires sat in a wide hall of shining crystal, speaking of war and conquest. At the center of the room, a giant creature with a body of iron plates and burning eyes laughed with a voice that shook the walls. He was a commander of the Zorith, a race feared across 100 stars. His words were sharp, filled with pride. "And what of these humans?" he growled. "Small planet, small minds. They are still children compared to us. Do they even know how to fight in real space? Ha! They send signals and call it progress." The hall roared with laughter. A thin insectoid leader struck the floor with its spiked leg, shaking in amusement. A feathered creature spread its wings and hissed in agreement. The laughter was cruel, echoing again and again, like blades scraping on stone. To them, Earth was a joke. A backwater planet that had just begun to touch the stars. A place of weak flesh, fragile bones, and fragile hearts. A place not worth fearing. But among them sat one alien who did not laugh. She was from the Threx Dominion, a race of watchers who lived longer than most suns. Her name was Serali, and her eyes glowed with cold light. She had seen the humans, and she remembered something the others had forgotten. "They are not what you think," she whispered, but her voice was lost in the storm of mockery. No one wanted to listen. Far away, on the small blue planet they mocked, humans were not laughing. They were listening. They had intercepted the signals. They had heard the insults. They knew they were being watched, judged, mocked. And something inside them stirred. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. When larger nations mocked them, they survived. When stronger enemies came, they adapted. They built weapons, they built machines, they built legends. Their history was carved not in peace, but in fire and war. They carried scars older than most alien empires. The aliens thought humans were weak because they were young. They did not know the truth. Youth made them hungry. Youth made them dangerous. In a dark chamber below Earth's surface, hidden from alien eyes, leaders of the world gathered. Generals, scientists, pilots, and engineers stood before a great table lit by holographic stars. A single message glowed above it. "They laugh at us." A silence filled the chamber. Not the silence of fear, but the silence before a storm. An old general spoke, his voice steady as stone. "They think us children. Then let them learn what children of Earth truly are." The humans began to move. Factories awakened, building ships in secret. Old legends were called back, names of fleets that had once defended Earth in its darkest hours. Steel was forged, weapons tested, engines roared to life. But it was not the machines that were most dangerous. It was the people. For humans carried something the aliens could not understand. They carried memory. Memory of firebombed cities, of fallen empires, of wars that nearly ended their world. They carried the will to rise again, every single time. Back in the Crystal Hall, the laughter had not stopped. The Zorith commander slammed his fist on the table, demanding silence. "Let us crush them before they crawl further into the stars. Let us burn their world and erase their name." The alien leaders agreed, one after another. They signed the Pact of War, sealing the fate of Earth. And then Serali, the Watcher, spoke again. Her voice cut through the noise like a blade of ice. "You make a mistake. I have seen humans bleed, but I have also seen them rise. You think fear is only yours to give. One day, you will feel it. And it will wear a human face." The hall fell quiet for a moment, but then laughter returned, louder, crueler. None of them believed her. But far away, in the hidden shipyards of Earth, a new light burned. Great vessels rose into the sky, cloaked in silence, their hulls carved with names remembered from legend. Each one carried the spirit of a planet united, not by peace, but by the promise that no one would mock them again. And as the first fleet left orbit, a voice echoed across the command channel. It was calm, cold and full of iron. Let them laugh. Soon, they will remember fear. The stars trembled. The game had begun. The alien fleet gathered like a storm at the edge of the solar system. Hundreds of ships, vast, black, and armed with weapons that had destroyed worlds, hung in the dark. The Zorith commander, covered in iron scales, stood before his captains. His eyes blazed with pride. "Today," he roared, "we erase the humans. A warning to any who dream of rising against us. Their planet will burn, their name forgotten. And when the smoke clears, the galaxy will know that to laugh at the Zorith is to laugh at death itself." The alien captains struck their fists against their chests in salute. Their engines burned, and the fleet turned toward Earth. But Earth was waiting. In silence, in secret, humans had been building. Great hangars hidden in mountains, shipyards under oceans, and stations far out in the cold void, all had worked without rest. The first fleet was ready, but not yet seen. Humans had not announced their strength. They let the aliens come closer. On Earth, people watched the skies. Cities fell quiet. Children held the hands of parents, listening to the news. The world knew an enemy was coming, but the full truth was hidden. Only the chosen few, pilots, soldiers, commanders, knew how close the storm was. In the war room beneath the Earth, the generals stood around the holographic table. The blue glow of the solar system spun before them. Red lights marked the alien fleet. "They're here," said a young officer, his voice shaking. The old general leaned forward. His eyes were hard. "Not here yet. Let them come closer. Let them think we are afraid. Then we show them what fear truly means." A ripple of silence passed over the room. Everyone understood. Far beyond the orbit of Neptune, hidden behind shadows of rock, the first human fleet waited. Ships of steel and fire, old names carved into their sides: Invincible, Valiant, Thunderchild, Resolute. They floated silent, their engines cold, their weapons ready. Inside one of the ships, Captain Sarah Holt stood before her crew. She was young, but her eyes carried the weight of old wars. "They believe we are weak," she said, her voice steady. "They laugh at us. But laughter cannot stop steel. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every insult, every time we were called less. Today, we show them what it means to be human." The crew answered with a single cry, their voices shaking the metal walls. Meanwhile, the alien fleet crossed Neptune's orbit. Their laughter still echoed through their comms. One captain sent a message across the stars. "Humans, we are coming. Kneel, and we may leave your bones in peace." The humans said nothing. Silence was their answer. But silence was not weakness. It was the calm before the strike. The Zorith commander sneered. "Cowards. They hide. They tremble. Soon they will burn." Yet in the shadows, the first human ship moved. Engines flared, weapons armed. From behind the rocks, a single warship slid into view. Its name glowed on the side: Valiant. The aliens paused. Their laughter grew louder. "Is this it?" one asked. "A single ship? This is their defense." The commander roared with laughter. "Destroy it." But the Valiant did not run. It did not hide. Its weapons burned bright, brighter than the aliens had expected. With a roar of fire, the first human missile launched across the void. It cut through the dark, a spear of steel and fury. It struck true. One alien cruiser burst into flame, torn in half, its crew lost to the black. The laughter stopped. Silence fell across the alien comms. The Zorith commander stared, his burning eyes wide. "That should not be possible," he growled. But it was only the beginning. From the shadows, from the rocks, from the cold black, dozens of human ships came alive. Engines lit, weapons blazed, hulls shone with the names of legends. Thunderchild, Invincible, Guardian, Liberty. One after another, they emerged, surrounding the alien fleet. The humans had been waiting. And now the hunters had become the hunted. The first battle for Earth had begun. The void lit with fire. Missiles tore across the blackness, leaving trails of white light like falling stars. Alien shields flared as the first human barrage struck, and explosions rippled through their formation. 1, 2, 3 cruisers vanished in silence, broken apart before they could even fire. The Zorith commander roared with rage. His iron fists slammed against the command table. Fools! They dare resist us? Strike them down. Show them the power of the Zorith. Alien ships turned, weapons glowing with energy older than Earth itself. Beams of plasma cut through the dark, tearing toward the human fleet. One human destroyer, Resolute, took the full blast. Its hull burned, breaking apart, its crew lost. But as it died, its guns kept firing, hurling missiles until the very last second. On the bridge of the Valiant, Captain Sarah Holt stood firm. Her ship shuddered as shockwaves rippled through the void, but her voice was steady. Hold formation. Do not scatter. They expect fear. Give them steel instead. Her words carried across the fleet. Humans fought not as scattered prey, but as a single fist. Their ships moved with precision, weaving between asteroids, covering one another with fire. The aliens had numbers, size, and weapons that could shatter moons. But the humans had something else. Strategy. They fought like wolves. When one ship was targeted, others moved in, shielding it, striking back. Missiles launched in waves, small fighters darted between massive enemy hulls, and hidden mines, laid long before the battle, detonated among the invaders. Alien laughter was gone. Now came only curses, roars, and fear. On the alien flagship, one captain turned to the commander. They should not fight like this. They are too young a race. This is not possible. But the commander snarled, his burning eyes glowing with anger. Then make it impossible. Burn them all. The alien fleet pressed forward, hammering with endless fire. Human ships shook, shields flaring, some breaking apart. The Guardian was hit, engines torn away, but even as it drifted, it unleashed its last torpedoes into the heart of an alien cruiser, dragging the enemy with it into death. For every human ship destroyed, 2 alien ships burned. The balance of fear began to shift. In the war room deep beneath Earth, the generals watched the battle unfold on glowing screens. Officers gasped, voices rose, but the old general remained silent, his eyes fixed on the red and blue lights clashing in the void. At last, he spoke. They are learning. One young officer turned, confused. Who, sir? Our people. The general's face hardened. No. The aliens. They are learning fear. Back in the battle, the human fleet executed a daring strike. Captain Holt gave the command. All ships, break line. Wolves to the throat. The fleet split into smaller groups, weaving through the chaos. Alien ships, vast and slow, struggled to track them. Human vessels struck like knives, targeting weak points, engines, power cores, weapon mounts. Explosions rippled across the alien formation. On the alien flagship, panic began to spread. One captain cried out, his voice shaking. They fight like demons. They do not retreat. They do not break. The Zorith commander bared his teeth. Then we crush them harder. But even he felt it now, a strange, unwelcome sensation crawling inside his chest. Something he had not felt in centuries. It was not anger. It was not pride. It was fear. The humans had bled. They had lost ships, friends, families. But they did not break. Every loss was answered with fury, every wound with fire. Their history had forged them for this moment, and they fought with a madness that no alien mind could understand. The battle raged for hours. Explosions turned the blackness into burning fields of light. At last, the humans pulled back, engines burning as they retreated toward Mars. The alien fleet, wounded and broken, did not chase. Over a third of their ships were gone, shattered wrecks drifting in the void. On the alien flagship, silence filled the bridge. None laughed now. None mocked. They had seen what humans could do. The commander's claws dug into the metal table. His burning eyes glared at the fading human ships. "This is only the beginning," he growled. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his voice. For the first time, the Zorath understood, humans were not prey. They were predators. And the galaxy would never laugh at them again. The wreckage of the battle drifted in silence. Broken alien cruisers floated like corpses, their twisted hulls glowing faintly as fire burned within. Human ships too were scattered among the ruins, some shattered, some barely alive, their names carved in steel now lost to the void. But Earth still lived. Humanity had not been crushed. Against all predictions, they had stood. And in standing, they had done the impossible. They had made the galaxy afraid. On the hidden shipyards around Mars, repair crews worked without sleep. Sparks lit the darkness as broken hulls were welded back together. Engineers hurried through corridors, building weapons faster than ever before. Pilots trained day and night, their eyes hard, their voices steady. In the command room aboard the Valiant, Captain Sarah Holt stood before a cracked screen. Her ship had survived, but only barely. She looked at the faces of her crew, exhausted, wounded, yet burning with resolve. "They thought we would fall in one strike," she said softly. "But we are still here. And now they know our strength. They will come again, with more ships, with more fury. But so will we. We will rise stronger." The crew answered with a single nod. There was no laughter, no cheer. Only determination. Far across the stars, in the crystal hall of the Alien Alliance, silence filled the chamber. The surviving captains of the Zorath fleet reported their failure. Their voices trembled as they spoke of human ships, human courage, human fire. The other alien leaders listened with disbelief. The insectoid lord clashed his spiked legs in anger. "You tell us that a young race, barely reaching the stars, destroyed a third of your fleet? This cannot be true." But it was true. The burned faces of the Zorath captains, the silence of those who had not returned, these were proof enough. The Zorath commander stood, his iron body scarred from the battle. His burning eyes no longer carried laughter. They carried hatred. "They bled us. But hear me, this is not victory. This is only delay. They cannot build fleets as we can. They cannot fight forever. We will return with fire that will burn their world to ash." Yet in the shadows of the hall, Serali, the watcher from the Threx Dominion, whispered again. "You call them weak. But weakness does not fight like that. You have awakened something you cannot kill. They will not stop. They will not bend. And one day, even you will kneel." The chamber fell into argument. Some laughed bitterly, some demanded immediate war, others warned of caution. But in every voice, in every word, the same truth hid like a blade. The humans had made them afraid. Back on Earth, the world changed. Nations that had once argued now stood side by side. Old enemies shook hands, their hatred burned away by a greater threat. Factories that once built cars now built warships. Young men and women lined up in training halls, ready to give everything for their planet. And in the skies, the Second Fleet was born. Larger, stronger, faster. Ships gleamed with new armor, engines roared with new power. But most of all, every vessel carried a name not chosen by chance. They carried the names of the fallen. Guardian, Resolute, Freedom, Valor. Each ship became a memory, a promise that no death would be wasted. In the War Council deep beneath the earth, the old general spoke to the leaders of the world. His voice was calm, but sharp as steel. "The aliens believe numbers will save them. They believe size is power. But we carry something they cannot measure. Will. History. The fire of a species that has survived its own wars. That fire will burn brighter than their fleets." And so the humans prepared. Every day the shipyards roared louder, every night the skies glowed with launches of new vessels. The galaxy thought Earth was only a single planet. But Earth had become something greater, a forge of war. The aliens gathered too. From distant worlds, more ships came, larger than mountains, armed with weapons that could pierce planets. The Zorith swore vengeance, their hatred burning hotter with each passing hour. The Second War was coming. And in the silence before it began, as stars burned quietly in the endless dark, a message left Earth. It was not hidden. It was not weak. It was broadcast across every channel, every frequency, to every listening race. The message was simple. You laughed at us. But we are coming. And when we arrive, you will remember fear. The galaxy listened. And none dared laugh. The galaxy held its breath. From every corner of space, eyes turned toward the solar system. Small races who had once mocked humans now whispered in silence. Some prayed for the Zorith to win, others secretly prayed for the humans. No one dared to speak aloud what they feared most, that Earth, the young and fragile world, might actually rise against giants. The second alien fleet arrived like a storm of fire. Thousands of ships filled the void, their engines burning like suns. They were larger, heavier, armed with weapons that could shatter continents. The Zorith commander himself stood on the bridge of the flagship, his iron scales gleaming, his eyes burning with vengeance. This time, he growled, no tricks will save them. We will crush their planet, their fleets, their spirit. And when it is done, we will erase the very word human from the stars. But Earth was not silent. From Mars, from the Moon, from hidden stations buried in the belt of asteroids, the human Second Fleet rose. Hundreds of ships, stronger than before, engines blazing blue fire, weapons locked on target. They were fewer than the aliens, but each one carried more than steel. It carried history, memory, and fury. At the head of the fleet, the Valiant led the charge. Captain Sarah Holt stood on the bridge, her voice steady as the void itself. They believe numbers will break us. They believe fear is their weapon. Today we show them what true fear is. Today we fight not for survival alone. We fight to prove that humanity will never bow. The crew answered with one cry, their voices shaking the ship. And then the void exploded. Alien beams cut through space, burning with white fire. Human missiles streaked forward, dozens at a time, breaking apart into swarms of smaller warheads. Explosions rippled like thunder across the dark. The second battle had begun. Alien cruisers advanced in massive walls of steel, firing in endless waves. Human ships darted between them like wolves, striking and fading. Fighters swarmed out of carriers, diving into the gaps between giant alien hulls. Some were destroyed instantly, but others broke through, planting mines that tore ships apart from the inside. The void was chaos. Ships burned, wreckage drifted, fire lit the black. But this time, humanity carried a secret. From behind the moon, hidden until the perfect moment, a new kind of vessel emerged. Colossal ships, unlike any the aliens had seen. Their hulls were black as night, their shapes sharp and cruel, their names glowing with fire. Leviathan, Goliath, Behemoth. These were Earth's first dreadnoughts, built in silence, born from unity. When they opened fire, the void itself shook. Cannons of mass drivers hurled slugs at near-light speed, smashing through alien shields as if they were glass. Whole warships shattered in one strike, torn apart like paper. The aliens froze in shock. One captain screamed across the comms, "Impossible! They should not have this power." But they did. Humans had built it, faster than any alien believed possible, forged by desperation and fury. The Zorith commander slammed his claws on the table, his burning eyes wide. They cheat. They are too young to have such weapons. But deep in his chest, something twisted again. The same sensation he had felt in the first battle. A cold, bitter truth. Fear. The humans pressed forward, their dreadnoughts carving open the alien fleet. Smaller ships darted behind, striking weak points, tearing through the chaos with precision. For every human ship that fell, 3 alien ships followed. The balance was shifting again. On Earth, billions watched the battle unfold through hidden broadcasts. Families huddled together, hands held tight, as they saw their people fight among the stars. Every explosion, every sacrifice, every ship lost tore at their hearts, but every alien ship destroyed filled them with pride. And across the galaxy, silent watchers trembled. Some races that had once laughed now whispered new words: allies, saviors, monsters. The battle raged for hours, longer than the first. Space itself seemed to burn. At last, the Zorith fleet, bleeding and broken, began to retreat. The humans did not chase. Their ships, too, were wounded. Their fleets carried scars. But Earth still stood. Humanity had faced the largest fleet the Zorith had ever sent, and survived. On the bridge of the Valiant, Captain Holt looked out at the drifting wreckage. Her voice was cold, steady. They will return again. Stronger. Angrier. But let them come. With every battle, we grow sharper. With every strike, they grow weaker. One day, they will not return at all. The crew nodded, their eyes burning with the same fire. Far away, in the crystal hall of the Alien Alliance, silence filled the chamber again. No one laughed now. The young race they had mocked had stood against empires. And the galaxy understood something terrible. Humanity was not just surviving. Humanity was winning. The war no longer belonged to Earth alone. After the Second Great Battle, the galaxy stirred. Across distant worlds, races that had once mocked humans now whispered their names in fear and wonder. Stories spread faster than light. Stories of human ships standing against fleets 10 times their size, of dreadnoughts that tore through walls of steel, of captains who fought until their last breath. The galaxy, for the first time, feared a young species. But not all were afraid. Some were inspired. On small hidden colonies, slaves of the Zorith listened to human broadcasts and felt hope. On distant mining worlds, workers chained by alien masters whispered, "If humans can fight, why can't we?" The spark of rebellion was spreading. The Zorith commander saw it. His iron fists slammed against the table as he stared at reports from across his empire. Riots on Taloris. Uprisings on Krelith. Even the weakest now dream of defiance. All because of these humans. His captains lowered their heads, ashamed. Not one dared to laugh. Not one dared to remind him of the day they had mocked Earth. Far away, in the hidden halls beneath Earth, the human council gathered again. The old general spoke, his voice calm, yet heavy. They are bleeding. Not just in ships but in spirit. Every battle we fight, every ship we destroy, the galaxy sees it. The fear spreads through their empire. Captain Sarah Holt, patched into the council through the Valiant, leaned forward. Her eyes were sharp. Then we do not fight for Earth alone. We fight for every voice they have silenced. Every world they have enslaved. If fear can spread, then so can fire. The council agreed. Humanity's war had changed. It was no longer defense. It was liberation. And so the humans struck again. Not with one fleet but many. From Mars, from the Belt, from stations hidden deep in the shadows, the new fleets launched. They did not strike only at the Zorith head-on. They struck at supply lines, at slave worlds, at hidden fortresses thought untouchable. Everywhere the humans appeared, they carried with them the same message, broadcast across the stars. You are not alone. Humanity fights for all. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy began to rise. On Taloris, chains were broken as rebels joined human fleets. On Krelith, slaves turned on their masters, waving human banners. On distant worlds, small ships with crude weapons appeared beside human vessels, joining the fight. The Zorith Empire shook. They had thought humans were only one planet. But now, it seemed the humans had become many. On the alien flagship, the commander's rage grew hotter, but behind his fury was something worse, doubt. He had crushed rebellions before, but never like this. Never fueled by a species so young, so wild, so relentless. They spread like fire, one of his captains whispered. Every battle we lose makes them stronger. Every world we burn only hardens their will. Perhaps, perhaps they cannot be broken. The commander's claws dug into the steel table, his voice low and sharp. Then we erase them completely. No more fleets, no more battles. We burn their planet. We end them at the root. But far across the stars, Serali, the watcher of the Threx dominion, heard these words. She had warned them long ago, and again she whispered into the silence. They laugh no more, yet still they do not listen. They think fire will end humans. They do not understand. Humans are fire. Back on Earth, as new ships were launched and banners raised, the people watched the skies with pride. They had bled, they had lost, but they had also risen higher than ever before. In the silence of the void, on the bridge of the Valiant, Captain Holt stared out at the stars. Her crew stood behind her, tired but unbroken. They will come for Earth itself, she said quietly. They think if they burn our home, they break our will. But they do not understand. Our home is not only Earth. Our home is every ship, every fleet, every human heart. And that they can never burn. The crew nodded, eyes burning with the same fire. The galaxy listened. The Zorith prepared. Humanity sharpened its blade. The final war was coming. The sky above Earth burned. The Zorith had come with everything. Thousands of ships filled the void, their weapons glowing like suns, their engines shaking the stars. At the heart of the fleet, the commander stood tall, his iron body gleaming. His voice thundered across every channel. Humans, this is the end. Your planet will burn. Your name will vanish. The galaxy will forget you ever lived. The threat echoed, heavy and cruel. But on Earth, there was no silence of fear. There was silence of preparation. Cities had gone dark. Civilian ships had fled to safe zones. And above the planet, the greatest human fleet ever built waited. Hundreds of ships, their hulls scarred, their names carved deep. Valiant, Guardian, Liberty, Behemoth, Leviathan. And at their head, Captain Sarah Holt stood on the bridge of the Valiant, staring at the endless wall of alien fire. They think this is our end, she said quietly. But this is only the beginning. Today we fight not only for Earth, but for the galaxy itself. Today we show them why humans should never have been mocked. The fleet answered with one voice. For Earth. For humanity. And the void erupted. Alien beams rained down like lightning. Human missiles and cannons answered with storms of fire. Explosions tore through the black, ships burning, hulls breaking, voices screaming into silence. The Zorith pushed forward with raw numbers, their walls of steel closing like jaws around the planet. But humanity fought with something more than weapons. They fought with history. Every tactic, every trick, every lesson from 1,000 years of war came alive. Fleets split and rejoined, weaving like shadows. Dreadnoughts unleashed devastating fire, while small fighters darted through gaps, striking weak points. Even when ships were lost, their crews turned their deaths into weapons, ramming, detonating, dragging enemies into the grave with them. The battle was chaos. Fire lit the void until even the stars seemed dim. On the alien flagship, the commander roared in fury. They will not break. Why will they not break? His captains gave no answer. Fear had already crept into their hearts. They had seen too much. They had watched humans fight with madness, with fury, with something no alien race carried. Will. The humans bled. The Guardian fell, torn apart in a blaze of fire. The Invincible was surrounded, its engines destroyed, but it detonated its entire core, taking 4 alien battleships with it. Each death carried meaning. Each sacrifice cut deeper into the Zorith fleet. And then came the moment. From behind Earth's shadow, hidden until the final strike, the last secret emerged. A weapon no alien had ever seen. The humans called it Project Dawn. It was not a single ship. It was a fleet within a fleet. Dozens of colossal carriers, each releasing swarms of autonomous war drones, machines of steel and fire, guided by human will but faster than any pilot. They poured into the void like a tidal wave. The Zorith fleet staggered. For the first time in their long history, they did not advance. They retreated. Their walls of steel broke apart as drones ripped into them, tearing through engines, detonating cores, swarming their flagships. On the Valiant, Captain Holt gave the order. All ships, strike now. Break them. And humanity struck. Missiles, drones, beams, cannons, every weapon roared as one. The Zorith fleet collapsed under the storm. One by one, their great ships burst apart. Fire spread across the void, brighter than 1,000 suns. The alien commander watched his empire die. His claws shook, his voice finally cracked. This cannot be. They are only humans. But the truth was carved in fire all around him. The humans had risen. The humans had fought. And the humans had won. With his flagship burning, the commander gave one last cry of rage, but it was drowned in the roar of explosions. The Zorith Empire's pride vanished into ash. Silence fell over the void. The war was over. On Earth, people filled the streets, watching the skies glow with fire and victory. Families wept, soldiers saluted, voices shouted the name of humanity. For the first time in history, the world stood not as nations, but as one. Across the galaxy, silence gave way to whispers. No one laughed now. No one mocked. The name, human, carried a new weight: fear, respect, and wonder. And in the crystal hall where alien leaders once laughed at Earth, Serali, the Watcher, spoke at last. Her voice was calm, her eyes bright. I warned you. You thought them weak. But now you know. Humanity is not prey. Humanity is fire. And the galaxy will never forget. Back on the Valiant, Captain Holt looked at the wreckage of the battle, her voice quiet but strong. They laughed at us once. They will never laugh again. The stars were silent. But in that silence, the galaxy trembled. Humanity had become legend.